In this video segment, I am going to attempt to geometrically explain the outlier test and what we're doing to find outliers or suspected outliers with a 1.5 times the IQR. I am going to use this box plot, which has no scale on it, and we don't exactly know what the data is that has been recorded. So what I'm going to do is measure the box using the ruler feature, and we can see that this box is measuring 2.5 inches. So that is the length of the box. Now what the IQR rule does is take 2.5, and that is the length of the middle 50% of my data, and multiply that by 1.5, and that new measurement is going to be the standard to see if we have any outliers. So geometrically speaking, what we are doing is we are taking that box and we are increasing it by half of it. So if I take 2.5 inches and I multiply by 1.5, well, half of 2.5 is 1.25. So let's see if I have, in fact, looks like I have to go out a little bit more to increase, or a little bit less to make that be 1.25 inches, that inside part. And that looks like it's approximately 1.25 inches. And so that's what I was talking about, this piece, this middle piece. And then the whole box will be the 2.5 times 1.5. And if I measure that correctly, I'm hoping that it is approximately 3 3/4. And that is the measure of this entire box. This length, therefore, is going to be my outlier test. So I'm going to go back to the original data, and I'm going to take this length, and I am going to attach it to both ends of my box plot. So here is Q3 plus the 1.5 times the IQR. And then I'm going to look with my eyeball. Do I see any data outside of that newly extended box? I don't. So I'm going to declare I have no top outliers. Likewise, I will take this measure and put it onto the bottom of the box. So this is the Q1 minus the 1.5 times the IQR measure. And when I look down here and I don't see any data, and the reason I don't see that is because you'll notice that my lower dot is way back there. So then I will declare I have no bottom outliers. So I'm hoping that this little video helps you to remember that you're tacking it onto the top of the box, which means you're adding it to Q3, and you are subtracting it from the bottom of the box, which means you are subtracting from Q1. Now I have another data set imposed down below, and if it's pretending that it has the same IQR, we can see in this picture down here that when we're looking outside of the extension, I see a whole set of potential outliers. So I would have to go back to the original data list and see how many data points are actually in that part of the whisker. So if I'm then going to replot my box plot, to do so, I would need to look at the original data set, and then I would need to decide, and I would need to find how many data points are actually outside of this box. So obviously there's at least one in the top. So I would have some asterisks here for those data sets. And the very important and difficult thing to remember is, where does the whisker end? Where does the whisker end? This whisker ends at an actual data point. Whatever data point comes before and lower than the top of the outlier box, this one up here. So we would leave space and then plot our suspected outliers as asterisks. And that is the conclusion of this video, which is designed to help you to remember what the outlier test is actually trying to accomplish.